At this moment, Kaku warns Zoro that they won't be able to win, seeing Seraphim continuously attacking, making him very excited. Zoro felt anxious. Seraphim continues to attack the research institute, putting Nami's group in grave danger, because everything inside begins to collapse, while Lucci and Kaku are very satisfied. Suddenly, Stussy began to act. She immediately rushed over to bite Kaku's neck, making him very surprised. Unexpectedly, Kaku immediately fainted. At this moment, Lucci doesn't understand, why did Stussy do that? Stussy said, "You should go to sleep too." It turns out she is the first clone of Buckingham Stussy, a member of the Rocks Pirates, created in Vegapunk's Mads laboratory. At this moment, Lucci realizes that Stussy has betrayed CP0, so he immediately attacks Stussy. Lucci thought he had defeated her. Unexpectedly, it was only a clone of Stussy. Then, Stussy captured Lucci. He realizes that her lipstick is made of sea stone. Stussy immediately bites Lucci's neck, causing Lucci to faint. Thus, Stussy defeats them, leaving Zoro confused about what's happening. Seeing Lucci and Kaku both defeated by Stussy, surprising Brook, he also doesn't understand what's happening. Zoro asks Stussy, "What are you doing?" Stussy tells Zoro, "You don't need to worry." It turns out she knows all the information about the Straw Hat Pirates. Zoro thinks internally that there might be conflict within their group, but Stussy says she has her own agenda. However, she won't harm them. While Zoro remains very cautious of Stussy, because she betrayed her own teammates. Suddenly, Stussy informs Shaka that the mission is complete. Lilith and Edison think she doesn't need to show up, surprising Usopp's group, because they don't know what's happening. Seeing Stussy is very dangerous, making them worried about Zoro and Brook. At this point, Robin asks her who she is, so Shaka tells them, even though it's been 20 years, but Stussy is their ally, surprising Usopp's group, because Vegapunk has planted spies in the world government. Suddenly, Stussy announces, she cannot stop Seraphim, because her authority is equal to Lucci's. She cannot override his orders. While the Seraphim continue to attack the research institute, Edison and Lilith try to run as fast as possible to stop them. At this moment, Zoro and Brook also try to find a way to stop the Seraphim. They realize that Seraphim are all similar to the 7 warlords of the sea. Zoro pays the most attention to S-Hawk. He keeps attacking the research institute, making Nami's group worried. While Lilith is very angry, she just got outside, so she immediately orders Seraphim to stop. Unexpectedly, S-Hawk still attacks Lilith, surprising her, but Lilith doesn't react in time. Luckily, Zoro managed to stop S-Hawk, and Zoro immediately ran to attack him. S-Hawk realizes that Zoro is very strong. At this moment, Zoro realizes that S-Hawk is conscious, so he asks, "Who are you?" Meanwhile, Lilith is trembling in fear and crying, because heaven has rejected her. Edison also tries to give orders to Seraphim. Suddenly, they attack him, creating an explosion that makes Lilith fall down. Luckily, Frankie managed to save her, while Lilith worries about Edison. But, Sanji also managed to save him, making Lilith very relieved. Suddenly, the Seraphim started to stop fighting, so Zoro also sheathed his sword back into the scabbard. At this point, they are still wondering who these Seraphim are. Thus, Lilith explains, they are warriors she is very proud of, and now the Seraphim won't attack them anymore, because her authority to give orders is higher than CP0's. Sanji immediately teases Zoro, because he doesn't understand anything, so both of them start fighting, and Frankie tells Brook about it. Now, their task is to help Vegapunk leave this island. While Nami's group is also relieved, because Seraphim are no longer their enemies. On Stussy's side, she used Sea Stone to handcuff Kaku and Lucci, to neutralize their devil fruit abilities. At this moment, Shaka told Stussy to go with them, so she agreed, making Sanji very excited, because there will be another beautiful girl on their ship. On Luffy and Chopper's side, they are still searching for Bonney and Vegapunk, but they couldn't find them anywhere. At this moment, in Whitebeard's homeland, Marco has returned. That makes everyone feel relieved, because Marines had previously come here. They inform Marco about it. Marines came here to seize Whitebeard's treasure, and they are no different from pirates. The kids recounted a few days ago. Marines attacked the village, and they threatened the villagers, because this village is not under the jurisdiction of the world government. The villagers will not be protected by the law, and they forced the villagers to hand over Whitebeard's treasure to them. Even though the villagers claimed they knew nothing about the treasure, the Marines still didn't believe them, so they threatened to shoot them. Even the Marines showed no mercy to the elderly and children. Suddenly, someone arrived and attacked the Marine commander, sending him flying into the cliff. It turns out he is Edward Weevil, who claims to be Whitebeard's son. That made the Marines scared and run away. When Marco hears the whole story, then, he feels relieved. Suddenly, an old woman came to find Marco. She said that Admiral Ryokugayu had arrived here later, and they took Weevil away, making her very angry. It turns out she is Buckingham Stussy, once a member of the Rocks Pirates. She demands that Marco return Weevil to her, but Marco doesn't believe Weevil is Whitebeard's son, so she says there is someone who can prove it, that is Dr. Vegapunk. On Kizaru's side, they are still advancing toward Egghead Island. Unexpectedly, a member of the 5 Elder Stars is also here, causing Kizaru to have to serve tea for him personally. At this moment, Kizaru is also very surprised that Vegapunk has betrayed the world government. It turns out he is Saturn, one of the top figures of the world government. At this moment, the world government's special forces are trying to overcome Vegapunk's defense system, and they saw a rocket slide that Luffy's group had used before. Suddenly, they were attacked. The agents were forced to temporarily withdraw. They realized it was Pacifista Mark III, an upgraded version by Vegapunk. Unexpectedly, this Pacifista is too powerful. He quickly defeated many of the world government agents. When they fired cannons at Pacifista Mark III, he created a liquid shield to block the cannonballs. They realized it was the bubble shield, the strongest shield invented by Vegapunk. Pacifista Mark III demanded the agents surrender. They realized this Pacifista is too powerful, so they immediately dropped their weapons and surrendered. And the agents were detained, leaving them puzzled. Who issued the order for this Pacifista? On Sentomaru's side, he has been treated. It turns out to be the employees working here. They treated his injuries. Suddenly, Sentomaru sensed tremors from above, so he immediately contacted Vegapunk, but he couldn't establish contact. And he remembered Luffy's promise to protect Vegapunk. At this moment, Sentomaru realized the Marines can still establish contact, while his own communication has been cut off. So, Sentomaru realized, now, he is also a traitor to the Marines. Thus, Sentomaru decided to order all the pacifistas to lead them to support Luffy's crew, helping Vegapunk safely leave here. But Sentomaru was still weary. On Vegapunk's side, Bonney was kicked out of the room, and Bonney headed towards Kuma's memories. She was sure it was her father's memory, so Bonney tried to touch it. Suddenly, a beam of light emitted, and it brought Bonney into Kuma's memory. Now, Bonney saw a field. Suddenly, Bonney heard someone crying. It turns out to be an injured boy, so Bonney went to ask this boy. But Bonney immediately realized this boy is actually her father, which surprised Bonney. At this time, Usopp was very worried, because Vegapunk has disappeared. Although Luffy has searched everywhere, but he still couldn't find Vegapunk, which made Luffy very tired. So, Usopp became even more worried, because he feared that staying here too long would put them in danger. When Luffy wondered where Bonney was, Zoro, Brook, and Stussy entered the laboratory, making Chopper very happy. Stussy noticed that inside the research room had been heavily damaged. When Sanji saw Stussy, that made him excited, because Stussy was too beautiful. At this moment, Stussy asked Shaka, "Is Atlas okay?" Surprisingly, Atlas has fully recovered, and she immediately punched Edison away, to prove to everyone that she was fine. Suddenly, York also woke up. Lilith immediately scolded her for sleeping too long. Sanji saw there were many beautiful girls here, which made him very delighted. While Luffy is still resting, Atlas immediately thanked Luffy for saving him. Nami was very angry, because these two CP0 agents attacked an adorable girl, and also because previously they captured Robin. But, Robin thanked Nami for caring about her. At this moment, Shaka told Stussy that there were two very important matters. 1. Vegapunk has disappeared. 2. They have lost control of the defense system, so now they cannot leave Labafay's research facility anymore. If they try to escape outside, they will be cooked by the laser beams. That made Usopp feel scared. Shaka said the first thing they needed to do. They needed to find Vegapunk first, then, they would try to control the defense system, during the time he waited for the camera to be restored. Shaka instructed Pythagoras to go find Vegapunk, so, Nami also decided to go look for him, because she thought she might find a treasure. Thus, Brook and Edison followed Nami. So did Stussy, Jimbei, and Sanji go look for Vegapunk. When Zoro also wanted to go search, then, he was immediately stopped by Sanji, because if they let him go, they would have to search for Zoro as well, while Usopp was afraid he would get lost. Lilith said she would lead the way for them. And she also told York to wake up. At this time, Luffy was still tired, because he had run too much. Zoro looked at Lucci and Kaku. He didn't expect to meet them here. Meanwhile, Morgans is very happy, because he had learned that the world government was assassinating Vegapunk. And he also knew that Emperor Luffy was at Egghead. So, Morgans would write a controversial article that Emperor Luffy had taken Vegapunk hostage to launch a full-scale attack on the Marines, because he wanted the world to think Luffy was a villain, and the world government would have to be grateful to him. Suddenly, Vivi scolded Morgans for being an idiot, because he dared to make up stories about Luffy, making Wapol worried. If they let the world government know they are here, both of them will be eliminated by the world government. It turned out that Morgans had helped Vivi and Wapol escape, but she couldn't let Morgans fabricate stories about Luffy, making Morgans angry, because she dared to interfere with his work, and he wanted to become someone who shakes the world with journalism. At this moment, Bonney realized that this boy was her father. Seeing Kuma crying, Bonney approached to ask. Suddenly, 3 fierce individuals were aggressively looking for Kuma, which made him frightened, so they captured Kuma. But Kuma still tried to resist, because he couldn't bear it anymore. Seeing Kuma calling for help made Bonney furious. When she ran to rescue her father, Bonney couldn't get close to Kuma, while Kuma was already pinned down by them, to force him to somewhere. So, Kuma immediately resisted against them. He would rather die than go to that place. So, Kuma kept getting beaten by them, which deeply hurt Bonney, but she still couldn't get close to Kuma. It turns out that the celestial dragons want to take Kuma back. Seeing her father being beaten made Bonney feel very helpless. She didn't want to see anymore. Suddenly, Bonney was thrown outside, while Kuma was still trying to overcome the red line wall. But the Marines kept attacking him relentlessly, because they thought Kuma was trying to reach Mary Schwartz. So, they kept firing heavy artillery at Kuma. At this moment, Bonney realized her father's past was too painful. She didn't dare to face it anymore, but because Bonney had to know the truth, she still approached Kuma's past once again. While Kuma was still being hindered by the Marines, on the Pythagoras side, he was still searching for Vegapunk, and he still blames Seraphim, because they were born here, but they destroyed this place instead. Suddenly, Pythagoras sensed someone behind him, so he was immediately attacked. This surprised Shaka. So, Shaka asked Pythagoras what had happened. On Luffy's side, he also received news from Nami, and she asked Luffy if Vegapunk had returned yet. When Nami found out Vegapunk still hadn't returned, then she told Luffy to watch out for Zoro, not to let him wander around, because they were afraid Zoro would get lost. Suddenly, their connection was cut off, making Nami unable to contact Luffy anymore. At this moment, Shaka was controlling the transponder snails to monitor Pythagoras' situation. Suddenly, he saw someone, so that person also attacked the transponder snail to cut off Shaka's connection. On Luffy's side, they also couldn't contact anyone, so he thought the earpiece was broken. Luffy intended to go find Shaka to ask what happened, but he also reminded Zoro not to wander around. At this point, all the transponder snails on Tier 3 had been destroyed, while Nami's group was also searching for Vegapunk on Tier 3. Suddenly, Nami stumbled upon a cabinet full of diamonds, making her very excited. So, Nami immediately gathered all the diamonds into her bag, making Edison furious, because their mission was to search for Vegapunk. If Nami carries that bag, it will be very heavy. So, Nami immediately asked Edison to help her carry it, but he immediately refused. Nami had to leave the bag of diamonds here, and Edison told Nami, these are synthetic diamonds they created, making Nami very excited. While that person is still breaking the transponder snail, Chopper, Robin, and Atlas are searching for Vegapunk on the 2nd floor of Section A. He asked Atlas, why was her face severely injured by Lucci's attack, yet she could recover so quickly? Atlas said it was Vegapunk's technology, allowing them to replace faces as desired. It turns out Vegapunk has also created artificial internal organs, helping to advance medicine in the future, made Chopper very excited. On Sanji's side, he's very excited to be with Stussy, and he remembers meeting Stussy at Big Mom's wedding. Even Sanji wants to be her puppy, but Stussy gently told him to focus on finding Vegapunk, which made Sanji even more intrigued. Jinbei feels that this place is too vast. Stussy said this is the 2nd floor of Section B, where various weapons are developed. At this moment, Shaka is still trying to contact everyone, but he still can't reach them. Suddenly, All the cameras are broken, surprising Luffy. Shaka realizes someone is doing this in the laboratory. While Usopp's group is searching on the 3rd floor, making York sleepy, Usopp is still worried that the world government will come here. So, Lilith immediately shows him her weapon. She says with this weapon, she can create bubbles that deflect any attacks, making Usopp and Frankie excited. At this moment, York has seen that the path ahead has been destroyed, surprising them. Usopp thinks that the enemy has arrived here. Suddenly, they saw Pythagoras, so they immediately ran to check on him. Usopp noticed that someone was here. It turns out it was Pythagoras's head. Seeing he's still safe, made them very happy. While they were thinking about who did it, York saw a Seraphim here. She didn't understand why Snake came here. While Edison's orders told the Seraphim to stay outside, suddenly, Snake used Boa Hancock's powers and attacked York, turning her into stone. Today's video ends here. If you love Oni-chan, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to help Oni-chan release more videos soon. Thank you for watching. Love you all.